According to the 2010 census, since the 2000 census, when the option to choose more than one race was first introduced, the multiracial population has increased 50%. Also, of the 17.3 million Asian Americans in the United States, 2.6 million reported themselves as multiracial. That 2.6 million is roughly 15% of the Asian American population. Moreover, in 10 years, this group has grown by about 1 million people, making it the fastest growing Asian American population. And that's a lot of Hapa babies. However, it's not all good news for Hapas. Not everyone sees them as a good thing. In fact, some people claim that Hapas dilute ethnic communities and may be contributing to the death of Asian American purity. Others believe that Hapas are given advantages over non-multiracial Asian Americans, and some simply find Hapas exotic, strange, or even entertaining. However, while everyone is entitled to their own opinions, I find these views a bit ignorant or misinformed. And since Hapas are such a quickly expanding population, it is important that people are truly informed about them. Thus, this presentation aims to illuminate how Hapas feel and think about themselves. And more importantly, I hope it can raise deeper questions about Hapas. Like, rather than asking, "What are you?" perhaps people can probe deeper and ask, "Who are you?"
I'm Michelle, and I am half Filipino and half German.
My name is Anthony Ewan. I work for the University of California at Berkeley. My parents are Chinese and German.
My name's Chris, and I'm half Chinese and half white.
My name is Monica Lee, and I am African American and Asian. I don't know, from my understanding it's Chinese, but I haven't met most of those family members.
So my name is Ariel, and I am half Japanese on my mother's side, and half white being a mixture of German, Jew, Irish, Scottish, Cherokee, just a hodgepodge of a lot of different things.
I mean, if someone were to, ask me on the street, what race are you? I would reply, half. I always reply half. I never just say, oh, I'm, white, or oh, I'm Asian, because I feel that kind of eliminates, half my identity. I always respond, oh, I'm half Filipino, half German.
Yeah, I usually just identify as African American because I can't really answer a lot of questions, and it's kind of, how the confidence level in terms of saying that you're, biracial, it's like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Or, people start to ask you questions.
I think it's easier to identify with the Japanese side just because it's one thing. But then I feel like culturally I'm a white person culturally. And so I don't feel, I guess I always feel white in some ways, and then the thing that makes me different from other white people that I spend time with is the fact that I'm half Japanese. And so I feel like depending on the context, whether I'm hanging out with primarily an Asian group or primarily a white group, it kind of shifts as to what I mostly identify with or what most stands out to me.
I think when it comes to my own racial identity, it's really contextual. It depends on the situation and environment. I usually explain the background of my parents, but the answer can vary depending on who's asking it and what the environment is. From the most part, I identify as a multiracial Asian American, but I also identify as Asian American, German American, and a lot of other different identities as well.
I've definitely felt different, not necessarily like an outcast per se. I always feel with family pictures or whatever, when I'm with all my Filipino cousins and then it's me, I definitely feel wow, I'm definitely the oddball here. And same thing with my dad's side of the family, when you see all these blonde hair, blue-eyed people, it's oh, hi guys, what's up? That's can be awkward.
Sometimes it's a little weird at family gatherings because my parents are divorced. So when I'm at my mom's family gatherings, it's all Chinese people and I'm the one white person there. And when I'm at my dad's family's gatherings, I'm the one Chinese person at an event where there's all white blonde people.
I know from friends and people who have grown up in the Midwest and other countries, they were definitely much more isolated, and their background and heritage was definitely questioned a lot more and made to feel othered. So, those experiences are also very valid, but they are quite different than what I've had.
Because my last name is Lee, so I've got a lot of attention as regards to that, because they're like, we don't even know many black girls with the last name Lee. It's like, she must be, is she Asian? Is she not? So in high school, and even now, sometimes when people see me and they see my name, and they're like, I thought you were an Asian girl, or, I was expecting somebody different. It's like, okay, I don't know what to say. I've been places where they were like, Monica Lee, and so I get up, and the lady is standing there, and she's like, I'm sorry, I was looking for Monica Lee, and I was like, I am Monica Lee. And they're like, yeah, well, come on. And they're not expecting me to look this way. They're expecting me to look like what they presume to be an Asian person to look like. I've had some people say, well, Monica's half black, so she's half Asian, so she's a nerd. So, she's with the geeks. Or, when I've hung out with my Asian friends in high school, it was like, yeah, she's one of them. So, you expect that. And doing well in school was like, but she's not real black. So that, that's why she's getting good grades. It was like, hello, no, I am smart. I think, I read, I write.
I went to Japan for a homestay for 10 days, very short time, between my junior and senior years of high school. And it was just a really interesting experience because Japan is extremely homogenous in terms of their racial makeup is primarily Japanese. And it was one of the first times where I did feel kind of like an outsider, definitely. And when other guests would come over to my homestay family's home, they would like immediately whip out their phones and like take a picture and, kawaii desu ne. And it was very interesting because immediately people knew that I wasn't just Japanese. They knew that I was, kind of familiar, had some Japanese elements, but very, was different at the same time.
Some guys I've dated have told me they're usually not into Asians, but they find me attractive, which I take offense to.
People are judged by we're judged by how people see us immediately. So just on the surface, it's like, she's a black girl. But they haven't had a conversation with me. They don't know me. So those stereotypes come out in how they treat me. People don't care about the other half. It's just like, well, you look like this, so that's how we're going to treat you.
I feel like with dating, I've dated primarily Hapas. In my friend group, there's at least 2 other mixed race Hapa people.
So as far as this notion that people of races, same races, congregate with each other, or even multiracial people congregate with each other, that does happen. And I think one reason why it does happen in college is college is a time when people who are coming to a campus like Berkeley will find people like themselves that maybe they haven't met before.
It would be nice if there was more recognition of like Hapa students and kind of understand that there are certain issues that Hapa students face that, students that are full Asian or full Caucasian or full Hispanic or full whatever don't face.
Hapa Issues Forum began in 1992 as a student organization at UC Berkeley. And it began in a class, Asian American Studies class taught by Jerry Takahashi. And it was in response to a particular session that day where 2 graduate students from Cal's Ethnic Studies program came and talked about the changing Asian American community. And one of those grad students, who was Korean American, she gave this thesis about how the intermarriage and outmarriage were kind of diluting traditional communities, that the children of these marriages were not going to be Asian American or be included. And she was giving kind of a very a portrayal that some of the students in the class thought was somewhat negative or not accurate for their experiences. And that was very much in contrast to the presentation of another graduate student who she herself was multiracial, Japanese American, and she talked a bit about what this meant in terms of changing communities, and that this was really a new phenomenon that was happening with Asian American communities, and that it was not the sign of the death of communities or a negative aspect. Those kind of stereotypes, the stereotypes of multiracial people representing the death of a community, or not contributing or being part of that community, those were some of the reasons why Hapa Issues Forum was founded.
Race isn't that important because, again, we're still all the same underneath, and we just have different cultural differences. How we grew up is different, but we're still people that deserve to be respected.
I think especially now it's a really positive thing. I think that it helps me really blend in with a lot of different groups, and I never really feel pinned down to one racial category or one ethnic category.
I like being Hapa and mixed race because I feel one day everyone in the world's going to be mixed race, because with globalization and how we're becoming more of a global society, races are going to mix, but there's no way they can unmix scientifically. So I just feel like I'm ahead of the curve.